Good afternoon, everybody. It is lunchtime, which is a pre-race talk show for One Hub Racing. This is the second episode as we preview the Canadian Grand Prix. A very welcome to you all. We also get to reveal the weather in just a few moments' time, in half an hour, as well as talk to some of our drivers. My name is Jess Sport, your host for this afternoon, and joining me was my commentary partner from last season, Jacob. How you doing?
Good. I hope everyone is having a good Sunday so far. Obviously, I know it's only halfway through at the moment, but yeah, I've had a good Sunday so far.
Yeah, hopefully everyone is, and it's quite hot at the moment, so hopefully you got your fans and stuff in your rooms, or if you're lucky, you got a bit of aircon going on. So yeah, we'll briefly touch on what's going to happen in the show today. Of course, we've got our hot lap, and then we're going to briefly touch round one, which drivers impressed, who will we expect to do well and who needs a good result, as well as speak to you about the media day stuff and reveal the all-important weather. But before we reveal all of those, let's have a look at a lap guide from our very own Axelock, sponsored by Sim Racing Setups. Enjoy. Welcome to a lap guide around the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, sponsored by Sim Racing Setups. You'll be approaching turn one in third gear, brake just after the 100-metre board, and make sure you focus on the exit to carry as much speed as possible due to the low grip. As you enter turn three, attack the curves as much as possible, brake before the 50-metre board in fifth gear, but be careful with the track limit. This is a tight left and right coming up into turn six, a slow technical section of this track. You've got to be very careful and keep your braking zone very, very clean. This is a long right-hander coming up in towards turn 8. Brake after the 100-metre board, and the recommended gear is 4th or 5th, but any gear would suffice. Now you'll be approaching in towards turn 9 and 10, a very tight hairpin. This is very satisfying if you get it right. Third is the best gear through this corner. Another DRS zone. We could see a lot of people trying to get the overtake done through here, and this is a very common feature of the track where there is double DRS zones but only one detection point. So these drivers got to be very tactical. Heading towards the final corner, aim for the right, and we've seen quite a few invalidations through there, so again, be careful with track limits, and that is a lap around the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So we hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully this gave you a flavour of what to expect at the Canadian Grand Prix, as long as it's dry, of course. But last week we were at Silverstone. Everyone had a chance to race each other for the first time, and we saw some really good racing up and down the grid. Hardly any stewards reports, which is great to see. But let's start with the P3 race, which was very, very entertaining. Gave us a little bit of a flavour of what to expect with the other tiers, but the driver that obviously impressed was our race winner, Jacob, that won on debut. Of course, it was in the wet conditions. I don't know how he's going to do in the dry later on, but Jacob really impressed last week.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, he did do pretty well. He just held the lead pretty much for the most of the race, and I think just kept it as consistent as possible, chose the right strategy. I'll tell you who I was pretty impressed with, though, was Jack Craig as well. From what I had seen from the P3 tier, I wasn't able to sort of do much, just trying to practice as much as possible for Silverstone last week after the rain. From what I'd seen from the P3 tier, I saw Jack Craig was making his way out through the field, and again, I think he also chose the right strategy. Very similarly to what I did, but we'll probably get into that a little bit later on.
Yeah, well,
he was just pretty consistent with that, so.
Yeah, I feel we'll get on to your race as well in a few moments' time. But yeah, Jack Craig impressed me. Another driver that impressed was Riley. He was on the wrong tyre, but then suddenly he was able to keep up and defend for the likes of Burjack's Jack Craig and Mason. And Riley seemed to be holding his own in his tier, and we spoke to him last week. He seemed pretty confident. He likes Silverstone. We'll see how he does in Canada, but Riley definitely one to watch out for tonight, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you say, he was on the wrong tyre at the wrong time. Hopefully, will depend on what the weather's going to be like today. Hopefully, he's going to be able to be on the right tyre and turn what was a bit of a mishap from last week into a potential podium, even a win for this evening.
Yeah, I think we see plenty of other drivers that could win. One driver that I think was a bit confused was a bit annoyed that he didn't get on the podium. He ran out of fuel, was Mason. I was watching the end of the stream with Mike in a VC together, And I think everyone was pretty much gutted that Mason ran out of fuel when he didn't get on the podium, because he doesn't like the wet, does he? But he managed to do well up until that point.
Yeah, just a few corners. That's all it took, and it got him off of that podium, which was an absolute shame for him. And again, I feel like that was a common theme across all three of the tiers, to be honest with you. So it's not one that you can sort of just sit on and sort of resent it. You just got to carry on. Obviously, it's a long season. I say long season, it's 12 races, but it is a long season. It's only the first race. You know, you just got to pick yourself back up on that and then just move on and hope to not underfuel the car this time.
Yeah, and based on his practice that I've seen him do it, I've only seen qualifying because I didn't have a chance to do race practice yet. Mason's been looking good, so I'm going to be keeping my eye on him in qualifying at least. We'll start with predictions for this tier. Who would you expect out of all these drivers to do well in qualifying and well in the race?
Based on just what we saw last week, Riley's one of them. Jacob's probably another one. And of course, you've got to go. You can't not pick Mason either. So they're about the top three, I would say, throughout the tier. Ones that go under the radar, you've got the likes of Jack Craig. Matthias, I've seen on his day can be pretty good. Same with Jamie as well. Burjack's proved it last week as well. So there are definitely a few people within that tier that can challenge for a win, challenge for podiums. Again, it was only the first race of the season in the wet, so we haven't really seen what people's potentials are like in the dry yet. So maybe that could be this week. Time will tell.
Yeah, of course, it's mainly been wet for most tiers, and it was completely different from all the other races, which we'll go through in a minute as well. So I'm going to go through my predictions. I think I am going to predict Burjack's for this one, and I think Mason's going to redeem himself. Yes, he picks up penalties, but I think with his qualifying pace, I think he's going to do well. Now we're going to talk about the race you've commentated on, the P2 race. A lot different compared to P3. It was very soggy, I should say, towards the end compared to P3. I think P3 out of all three tiers got away with it very lightly.
Yeah, no, P2 I think definitely had the worst of the weather. I think I was shocked at how quick it turned from dry back to wet and how much it became wet at the end of the race as well. I think Larkin, Papa Squanch, they played an absolute blinder in that. Me and Jamie at first thought that they were crazy for starting on the intermediates, but it worked out like an absolute treat for them. And, you know, I say they managed to make it work. They were going to and fro throughout basically the whole of the race. Very entertaining watch. And I still got to say it as well from last week. I give my food of soda to P2 because everybody kept it nice and clean. Despite the amount of penalties, they all kept it so clean. And I was genuinely shocked, especially in that type of weather, how well everybody was doing last week in that. Unfortunately, just the one DNF of Arbor Brim Mike, but that was due to wheel issues. So it wasn't even like he crashed or anything. It was just purely down to his wheel just giving up on that. But yeah, I still give my hats off to everyone in P2 with that.
And just saying, I'm going to brag about this, J-Car, because I'm the tier coordinator for that tier. Only tier out of all three tiers to not get any stewards reports. So it shows that we're the best tier. But yeah, no stewards reports for P2, which makes you covering P2 a lot easier, that you don't have to go through all those penalties. But pretty much, majority of the other ones were penalty removals anyway, but at least you don't have to spend time going through that. I have to say, Papa Squanch, my prediction for him doing well, it was absolutely fantastic, but the same can't be said for Rich, unfortunately. It's a shame because his pace in the dry was fantastic, but in the wet, he seemed to struggle compared to his normal dry pace, which is a shame because he was doing well in the GOAT Championship. He just doesn't seem to like the wets on this game.
No, he doesn't, which is fair enough. It's definitely a lot. I feel like the wet in this game is a lot tougher than what it was in the last game. But I've got to say, I was pleasantly surprised with Papa Squanch's pace. I think he wasn't one that I was expecting to be fighting for the wins or fighting for podiums or anything like that. If I'm completely honest with you, I was expecting the likes of Larkin, Solal, I suppose Quinn, Rich, those guys all to be fighting for podium. Papa Squanch, I've got to say, pleasant surprise the fact that he ended up taking that win last week and proving himself to be a championship contender for sure. Two other people also got to give a big shout out to were the two Aston Martins, both Mikey and Mogs or Mougs, however you. I still don't know how you say it.
I don't know. If you're in the chat, please say it. Say the phonetic pronunciation. Anyway, carry on. Carry on.
Yeah, as I say, I got to give the big props to them. They've both done a flawless bit of teamwork. Mikey was just trying to, I suppose, eke out to see when would be the perfect time to make a pit stop for him. And I guess he followed it perfectly with his teammate. Mikey was trying to hold up as much as possible, and I think he made the strategy work for Moggs as well. And there you go. He said it is Moggs, so he made it perfectly for him. And he's both Aston Martins looking very good. Teamwork wise, they're definitely trying to fight for constructors if they're not going to be able to get the drivers championship, but they both impressed me last week for sure.
Yeah, I think Mikey as well, because he was a bit nervous, bless him, but when I was battling him last week, he did really, really well. And to be fair, he was the quickest driver out of me on that day. But I think out of the ones I expect to do well in Canada, I'll get the lineups on the screen as well since we talk about Canada. I think I'm not going to jinx things too much, but I think Mogs is going to potentially be the surprise and potentially take the challenge to like Papa, Salo and Larkin. I nearly forgot my own teammate then. Larkin's going to kill me. But yeah, I think Mogs in practice I've seen has been looking probably one of the quickest out there, almost reaching pace of the P1 guys. So I think the Aston Martins, I'm going to keep my eye out in the race for sure. Quinn, of course, the last time race winner for Canada when we were here in season 25. I think he's going to do well, but I think I saw in his pre-race in one of the chats that he either does really well or picks up loads of penalties. So I think Quinn, I would say, is a driver to watch out for here tonight as well.
Yeah, for sure. I say there's definitely a few other people. It depends on what the weather situation is going to be saying. There's a few people in this tier that I know that like the rain, and there's a few people in this tier that absolutely despise the rain. And I think they showed that last week. Exactly. So that showed that last week. I do expect both of you Red Bulls to be up there for sure. I know you're saying that if it's not raining, you may have a decent chance, but regardless, both of you are Larkin. Solid drivers, been here for absolutely ages. So I say both you and Larkin are going to be, I reckon, are going to do pretty well. Not to try and be absolutely biased.
Of course, you were teammates with Larkin, so understandable.
Of course, but yeah, no, I do expect both your Red Bulls to be doing well. I expect both of the Williams to be doing well.
Yes.
Both Aston Martins again, and yeah, Salah as well. Joe B can probably try and help his team out.
Welsh Benjamin.
Yeah, of course, both of the Aston Martin, so the Alpines, even the Welsh Alpines. Maybe Mike may not be an Ivor Spin Mike tonight.
We'll have to wait and see. Please, Mike, let's hope you got your wheel fixed, because it will be in. Because I missed not hanging about with you last week, and it would have been crazy to see it on the stream. But unfortunately, we haven't got that. But P2 is done. Now let's go over the P1 race, where I think, speaking from your experience, the engineer didn't know what to say to you on whether it was going to dry up or whether it was going to be wet, which was quite a bit confusing. I think in P1 it seemed to be a bit more topsy-turvy compared to the other tiers, because we just never know when the rain was going to come, and it was only dry for like a few minutes before it started raining again. But again, the slicks were still the best tyre for a little bit. It was just like all three tiers were so different in terms of weather, but it didn't make it easier for you when you were racing that you didn't know which way to go.
No, it really didn't. I was really shocked at the amount of people that ended up getting a puncture towards the end of the race. I know that they had pitted quite early, and I wanted to try and go as long as I could on the inters on my second stint, just purely because there was, I knew that the tyres, from when I had it on the first stint on the wets, were absolutely dead on the rears after about 7 or 8 laps. So I just thought the best thing for me to do is just to try and go as long as I can on the inters on the second stint, to have basically almost newer inters towards the end of the race. It didn't even say it was going to dry up. For the first time I think I've ever seen in an F1 game, there was thunder and lightning. So I had the feeling it just wasn't going to dry up at all. yeah, I think that's just it. First time I think I've ever seen that. So yeah, I knew it wasn't really gonna get dry, even though it had it in the weather prediction. I I just went with what I went with, and I suppose it paid off. But for others, I was really shocked at that.
I think I was shocked. I was shocked with Ben getting a puncher because we seen in the lower tiers, I think, including me, I was able to get inters 14, 15, even 6, pretty much majority of the race. So when I saw Ben Mills got a punch, I was like, hang on, this can't be right. So it might be he was pushing too hard, or I don't know. Then the next minute, we thought there was going to be less drama. Callum suddenly got a puncher. So that just opened up, I think, the chaos even more, I would say. But I think one driver that surprised me in a good way was Lukey. He was saying all week last week, the car's too hot. I don't like the dry conditions. I'm not going to do well. He even struggled in the pre-season race. And then to come out, he was leading from a joy of it. He pulled the into strategy perfectly. Ben kind of helped him unintentionally, of course, bridge that gap a little bit. And if he wasn't on the wrong tyre, I'm sorry, he would have won the race. And I would have probably given him driver the day instead. Sorry. But yeah, Lukey was definitely my dark horse last week, Jacob.
Yeah, Lukey definitely as well. I was I was quite shocked at how well he was doing. I mean, if anything, if he didn't mess up that strategy, I think he would have won that race. I think he was that far out in front. He just chose to go on the dry tyre.
Accidentally,
I don't know
he
if he
said.
chose it or if he just... accidentally. Okay. So the fact that he did that accidentally, I just think he and he admits it, he absolutely botched it. And he probably wishes he could go back and make sure he picked the right tyre. But again, I suppose things like that happen, and it was very unfortunate for him. Because I say, I think that would that have been his first win in the P1 tier for Lukey?
I think so, but I would have need to check the database, and I can't be bothered to check at the moment. But yeah, it might have been, or his first win in a long time, I would have to say. But he's probably going to be one of those drivers that's hoping for a wet race too, because I think he is a driver that I think doesn't like the hot conditions due to the tyre temperatures. It just doesn't suit him. But when it gets cold, it's like the Mercedes in real life, isn't it? Hates the hotter conditions, but likes the cooler conditions. So if it's dry, I think he would prefer overcast, like a lot of people.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'll tell you, two people that probably don't want it to be anything like that, who definitely had a very disappointing race last week. Both of the Ferraris, both Nick and Colin. I think they didn't want me to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it anyway.
It's our talk show. We can do what we want.
Exactly. Yeah, they didn't have the best of qualifying, and they didn't. Well, Colin had a decent qualifying, but Nick didn't really have the best of qualifying. Unfortunately, didn't really translate into the race. I don't know what happened with Colin's strategy, but Nick really did not have a good race whatsoever, which is a shame. You know, I'd have loved to have been battling with both of those Ferraris again as well. Again, I think it was just one of those races that anything that could go wrong for him happened. So hopefully, you know, in Canada this week, they'll make up for it, and I'm sure they will. You know, it was just probably one of those races where it's just definitely one thing to forget for the both of them. Yeah.
I think they're going to hope for a dry race, to be honest, because if they get a wet race, they're probably going to be quite annoyed as well. But I think one dry that we haven't mentioned, I'm surprised we haven't mentioned, to be honest, is Marco. When Callum and Ben were fighting each other, and Callum was trying his best to get past Ben, Marco just did it in one go, and he was able to get past him after he got past Callum. Marco got his championship off to a great start. My favourite from last season. We thought he was going to win the title, but he messed up a little bit last season. But Marco did what he needed to do. I think he's one of my picks for the win tonight in Canada. I also keep my eye on the two racing balls as well, because without Kieran's tyre blunder, again, he would have been up there as well. He went on the soft tyres, and I was like, no, go on the inters, and he never did. So I think, as well as Marco, the two racing balls, I think, are going to be the ones to watch, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Kieran definitely, again, another one that had a bit, I wouldn't necessarily say it was a strategy blunder, but he definitely, you know, he thought it was just going to stay dry. It almost did, to be fair to him. but it just got a bit too heavy towards the end. He still managed to hold it quite well, considering in the dry tyres and the wet conditions. So he did quite well with that, but unfortunately, it just wasn't. It just became too wet too quickly towards the end. So yeah, Kieran's normally pretty good on those types of strategies. I mean, I guess that's a lesson learned for this week and for the rest of the season for him. So yeah, he is pretty good on strategies normally. I'm sure that was just one of those ones where he thought it was just going to stay dry. Unfortunately, it's one of those high risk, high reward ones, and unfortunately, the risk didn't really pay off for him. One person actually I'm quite excited to see back in the tier is Curry. Curry's back in with Marco as well. I know they're both friends as well. So yeah, quite intrigued to see how both Mercedes are going to do.
I think, of course, one driver did not respond to any of the pre-season stuff after the qualifying week, so we had to let him go. And Curry was waiting in the rings. He really wanted to sign up, and he's here, which is really, really great to see. I've seen a massive improvement the last few races last season, and he's the one that lives and breathes the league. So I think Marco and Curry are going to be very strong together, and if those two get on well, that's him as well. I'm hoping the Kick Saubers of Owen Wyatt and Palsy do well compared to last week. I think we saw Owen in the pre-race interviews this week saying that he felt happy with his performance last week and he felt like he couldn't have done better. So I'm expecting strong things from him as well. I was going to say Catherine, but Catherine's not here this week. But she got her first point in the top tier. I haven't checked if it was the first female to get points in the top tier, but I have no idea on that one. But before we wrap up to some rivalries, apart from yourself, of course, who are your picks for the win? Or maybe that could challenge you potentially.
I'm gonna say I've got to put myself up there, for obvious sake. But, otherwise, what's the point? No, I expect Callum to be up there for sure. Marco. Based on his performance last week, Lukey could potentially even be challenging that. Ben Mills as well. I mean, honestly, probably Ben Mills, Marco, Callum, easily probably the top three fastest drivers in the tier. So them three, and then it's really just the rest of us just to see who's going to be trying to challenge. Hopefully, for one of them that's trying to make some mistake for the podium.
Or even penalties, because we said track limits is going to be a thing for Canada. We've seen that in many seasons, and I think Ben said that in one of his interviews that we will go through in a minute. But Ben and Callum on workhorse of rivalries. I have picked those two out of the three because that looked the most interesting in terms of punchers. And they were asked, this is a pattern we're likely to see going forward in terms of being on different tyres, and do you see yourself as direct competitors? Ben really enjoyed defending for Callum, he said, even after he was on worse tyres. And it showed that it gives him confidence for future races, and hopefully, he said, he can have some nice battles this season. And he said Callum is definitely a contender, and he sees Callum as a rival and a title contender. And Ben's looking forward to seeing what Callum can do today. So I'm just looking at the stats at the moment. I think without the puncher, Ben and Callum would have been pretty much even on the stats, I think. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how this rivalry is going to do. And even Ben was saying in the interviews about what he thinks of Canada. He tends to go well here, but who knows with track limits and walls. Throwing some rain, it could be another chaotic evening. Right. Who doesn't want rain? Ben said he wants rain. Riley wants rain. Who doesn't want rain? There we go. Yeah, I'm excited to see how Ben and Callum do well this tonight. Let's hope no punches, please.
I mean, I'm probably in their boat. I hope it is going to be in a boat because I hope it is raining this evening. Because Canada's normally one of those strong tracks for myself, and just more so in like today's game, I don't get it. I just don't. I'm not a fan of it. So I do hope that it is going to be raining in Canada this evening. I think it's just going to spice it up. I suppose we'll see a bit later on in the stream.
Yeah, we will do. We will do. So we touched briefly about the rivalries. We'll try and get one driver in for interview at the moment. I am calling him in to our little commentary box that we have. And speaking of commentary box, we do have one driver in to talk to us. He's from the P3 tier, made his debut last week. An unfortunate DNF from himself, but he's back in business. We got the Furious Formula here to talk to us. Hello, welcome to the stream. How you doing?
Hi, hello, how are you? How's it going? Thank you so much for introducing me here, Jess. Cool, it's an honor. I'd like also to say thank you for the tournaments, the commentating, the stewarding, all the efforts you guys are doing. You guys are doing an amazing job, so thank you for that.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself so far. So I was going to say a bit about last week, but things didn't go well for yourself there. Where do you think you would have finished without that contact with someone with Troop that had a technical issue?
Well, last week I had a very good pace, honestly, especially with the rain, because I'm a more of a dry driver, let's say, if that's how we put it. But with the rain, I was, having a good pace. So without just, the track limits, I think I would have been placed as 5th or 4th in the qualifying time. But in the race, I think I would get a first, by the way. I was really sure from that because the pace was really going well, especially when I switched my tires into intermediate. So yeah, I thought I was going to be first.
I love that confidence. I honestly, the drivers that we've got recently in for the interviews are like the most confident ever. I like it. So, what are your first impressions of the tier in general? Who would you say going into tonight is the one that you're probably going to be consistently battling with for position?
Okay, well, I know I'm confident, but I'm also honest. With Canada, I mean, I've raced that a lot, especially in F1, and it's a very hard track, to be honest, especially with the track limits, So it's gonna be a little bit tricky. I'll try to get a podium in that one.
Yes.
But I'm having a lot of surprises for the end for the season. You guys saw nothing yet, though. I know I got a DNF last time, but that's just the beginning. You all remember what Max happened to him in Silverstone, right?
Yes.
He got a DNF, but what happened in Abu Dhabi? So, yeah.
He won the title. And remember what we saw, Isaac Kadjar did not start in Australia, and he's had a good season so far. Yeah. So there you go. So you're showing that you do not give about there. So Canada, you say it's a hard trap for you in terms of yourself. Of course, you had a chance to. I'm just trying to remember who your teammate is. I'm just
Jacob.
Jacob. Of course, a very strong pair, and of course, him in a race, you get on well. What are your aims for both of you this season? Because I know, based on what your confidence levels are, surely you're going to go for the constructors this season because you are a very strong pairing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I respect Jacob a lot, though, and I was very sad when I got the DNF last week because I wanted to help him. He was like 2 Mercedes behind him, and he was in pressure. And I was just watching the stream, I mean, if I can just go with another car, maybe I can go with my private car, get into the game, do something about it, So I have big respect for him, honestly, and he was very good in Silverstone. It was a shocker, and I want to help him again. But if it takes the chance to be the first, then it's coming.
Oh, I love it. I can see you get on already, and I'm very pleased that you're pairing with each other in One Hub Racing. Jacob, I'll hand it to you for any questions, because I am hogging the limelight a little bit, so I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, that's fine. So, obviously, with the calendar that we've got this season, I know you said Canada is probably not going to be the best one for yourself. Any that are coming up in particular that you're going to be looking forward to?
Yes, I have Spa, Monza, and of course, so we have Singapore. These three, I'm gonna demolish the field. I'm pretty sure with that.
Demolish the field. Fair enough. Any of them that you're probably not looking forward to in particular, and why is it Mexico and Baku?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm hating actually China and Brazil, because they have a league. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jess. I'm really sorry. But they're really hard for me, with the turns. I mean, even China though. China is very hard. for the track limits and when to go, and for the car setup, I'm having a lot of troubles with the car setup. But maybe this is the point divider, let's say, for me. I'm not sure, but it's Brazil and China, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, I suppose you'd be happy to know that China isn't actually on the calendar, so it's just going to be Brazil. That's going to be, I suppose, a tough one for yourself, which is the final round. So hopefully by that point you would have done very well with that. Yeah, I mean, I know that Jacob obviously won the race last week. Are you expected to try and challenge him, like push each other as far as possible? I know just kind of briefly touched on that. Are you trying to challenge each other as far as possible? Kind of like a real life McLaren situation?
That's a very, very good question, honestly. You're going to bring an honest answer out of me, which is if I see him actually competing again in a podium position or like first, like the last week, I'm going to try, if I'm not going to get into the first three, I'm going to try to help him hold off the other attackers behind me. I'm going to try to do something about that. I don't mind doing that, by the way.
Ooh.
If he can get yes, I'm really, but if I get into the podium position, which I'm sure I can do something about, then no, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna take first. Doesn't matter. So that's the honest answer.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Well, you heard it here first. The Ferraris and P3 are going to be going to and fro with each other. But that's pretty much one mine done for them, Jess. Yeah, it's all good.
I love your attitude as well. If you're in a position to win, you're gonna fight with your teammate. But if you're not, you're gonna help your teammate, which is really great to see. Best of luck. Best of luck for you. I know it's slightly early where you are, so fair play.
Yes.
Well, fair play for you getting up early for this. I appreciate your dedication. So we'll let you go and have a little bit of a rest before your race starts later on today.
Yes.
I can't remember what time it is going to be where you are, but yeah, dedication that you're up so early. What time is it, by the way, where you are?
Where am I? It's right now. It's 2:30
in the morning.
PM. No, PM. It's PM.
Oh,
yeah. So when it's 4:30 UK time, it's here gonna be 6:30 PM time.
All right. All right, so you're not that far off, but yeah, dedication for you. We'll let you go and get some practice in. Best of luck, by the way, and hopefully the weather that you want to see is there for you.
Yeah, I hope for dry. Try to do something about it, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, you're my friend already, Furious. You're my friend already. Right, we'll let you go. Best of luck.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you so much. I'll see you again soon.
Oh, that was great to talk to one of our new drivers once again. I think we talked to pretty much most of our new drivers, and again, very positive attitude as well. They're not like taking it lightly. They mean business in One Hub, like we saw with Riley last week, which is great to see. I think we haven't seen the last of him, and I think his dedication to get up there on the podium, J-Car, I think it's going to be great to see. So in my mind, I hope to see him do well as well, because I would hate him to see another DNF.
No, it does really sounds like it's he wants to try and challenge it as much as possible. Of course, that's everybody wants to. So yeah, I'm expecting to see him try and challenge as much against these guys as possible. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to do for this season as well. There's a few guys in the chat that are saying that there's going to be China and not Imola. I'm really confused as to what's going on in terms of the calendar situation.
I'll get the calendar up on the screen. There you go. So I don't know why people are talking bonkers. There's no China. There's no China. There's
I think it says it on SimGrid though. That's the reason why.
Oh, right.
So that might need to be changed.
Right. Yeah. I will message Lukey when he's online. He's probably busy at the moment. But yeah, thank you for spotting that out. There's no China. So I'm probably quite good because China's one of my favourite circuits. But yeah, it is good that the chat is keeping chatting, which I really love to see. So we've spoken to our driver. We did have one other driver lined up, but unfortunately he's not online. So we'll move on to our next item. Going Gets Tough award. We still got quite a few lot of drivers in the running, and make sure, reminder, please do your pre-race interviews. It helps us commentators. It definitely helped me last week, and it helps J. Cole as well. So make sure that you follow these requirements on your screen. But if you miss one race this season and one pre-race interview, then that is fine. You're still in the running for next week. But if you haven't missed a race and you missed all your interviews, then you're out of it, unfortunately. But I think there's still, I'm not going to say who, but there's just about half of the grid still in the running for the Going Gets Tough award. So really great just to see, of course. But yeah, make sure you do get involved and get your pre-race interviews done now. Speedster award as well. I think there was about 5 or 6 drivers still in the running for that. I did have it open, but I'm an idiot and probably shut that down. So I'll leave that for another time. But one thing we got to mention, Jacob, is engine wear. At this point, we would say which drivers are taking their engine penalties. Unsurprisingly, no one has opted to get their engine penalties done for this race. I'm not surprised, because I don't think if they would have taken it now, if they took it now, it wouldn't have got to the end anyway. But if Canada was at a different point of the season, Jacob, would you have taken your engine penalty at this track?
I probably still wouldn't have, to be honest with you. And even though I said that Canada's probably now not one of my stronger tracks, I still probably would have taken it at one of the later tracks anyway. I think I'm just trying to calculate it at the moment to see if it's after this race, if they can take an engine wear or a gearbox penalty, if they can make it to the end. I think it would just
as long as they haven't
DNF'd. That. So, yeah, exactly. As long as they don't DNF, they should just about be able to do that. So, yes, I think there's a few people who found out earlier on today that once they have DNF'd, and depending on when they DNF in the race, if it's later on in the race, then it can affect their engine and their gearbox as well. So, yeah, hopefully we'll see when people decide to take it. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more people take it at, you've got your faster tracks like your Spa, your Baku, Monza. I'll be shocked if I see anybody try and take a lap or engine penalty at Singapore, because you can't overtake, well, you can barely overtake there anyway.
I'm not going to be here for Singapore, so technically I could have taken my engine penalty today, but I like Canada, so I that's why I haven't picked it. So,
there's definitely a few.
Yeah, there's definitely a few. Of course, there was quite a few DNFs last week. Mike DNF'd quite early on, didn't he? So that's why he's got more laps compared to everybody else. And there's, of course, a few people missing last week that have got the full allocation. So that's why they'll be on the 320. Furious Formula got more laps because I think he only DNF'd, lap 5 or lap 6 or whatever. So the 2 times didn't affect him that much. But like with Robite, yeah, he's got less compared to everyone else because he retired late on. I think quite a few people retired in the pits. So that's one reason, Jake. I'll do not retire in the pits, because that could affect your engine wear.
Exactly. So we'll see if anybody else does that now, or if they're going to just sort of carry it on out into the end of the race. And yeah, if you try and obviously DNF in the pits a bit later on, then it could probably impact the strategy of when you're going to actually take your engine wear penalty, or the engine penalty and the gearbox penalty.
Keep going.
As you said before. Yeah, exactly. Keep going. But as you said before, it's always best to just try and finish the race, because you never know what can happen.
Yeah, there could be late safety cars. There could be lots of chaos that breaks loose, and you could end up getting a point. So, yes, of course, engine wear and gearbox, you can't take it at the same race this season, so you will be able to get a grid penalty both times. That is one of the reasons why we do a lobby restart, is so we can apply those engine and gearbox penalties to a driver each race. But luckily we have none, which makes everyone's lives a bit easier. Penultimate item before we get to the weather. Don't you worry, we got the weather to come up at the moment. We'll briefly touch on this so we can get to the weather. Your sim racing setups, driver of the day. So the winners of those will get a £10 gift voucher from Sim Racing Setups. Jack Craig was one of them after his impressive performance, overtaking a lot of cars. Papa Squanch, of course, for winning the race last week and doing exceptionally well. And someone called J. Cole. I do not know him. I don't know why he should have got driver of the day, to be honest. Only joking. But yeah, all 3 of them have got one Sim Racing Setup £10 gift vouchers that they can use on whatever things that they want on the website. And by the way, just a reminder, if you want to get a pair of Sim Racing Setups, use the code OneHubRacing at checkout to get 5% off to get a discount on the best sim racing car setups, F125 and more. So there we go. So, you know what we're waiting for. I think there's one thing, Jacob, that the drivers are very keen to know about.
We certainly are, and it's going to determine whether we're going to have a good race or it's not going to be a good race. Of course, it's going to be the weather for this evening, of course, for the qualifying and for the race. Obviously, we've now gotten rid of the wet to overcast for the qualifying.
Yes.
So that's gone. We could still have it the opposite way, which is what I'm kind of hoping for. Or we could have it as
we're not getting
blown dry.
We don't have it the opposite way, because otherwise it'll be a really rubbish qualifying. With it overcast to wet in qualifying, so that's why we don't get that. So quick reminder, if you don't know how it works, so for qualifying and the race, we have a set of weather combinations. The wheel is then spun, and whatever combo is revealed, that gets shelved off unless it's said on the wheel again, and it won't happen again for the rest of the season. A maximum of 4 wet affected races for quali, and a maximum of 4 wet affected races for the race. So we already had 1 each. We had the worst for the race, by the way. I checked the race combination that we have left. We've done the worst already, so that's good. But I'm going to get the wheel up now, if I can find it. There we go. So you can see it on your screen, looking dandy. So here is the weather combos for qualifying. Jacob, are you ready?
I'm ready. I wonder if the chat is ready, though. I'm seeing a couple people saying wet, please, dry, please. Let's see.
Right, let's see. Here we go. The weather combo for qualifying is... light cloud to overcast is going to be qualifying. So... yeah, a first dry affected qualifying of the season. So that is going to be interesting. We actually get to see, Jacob, everyone's dry pace in quali for the first time.
We certainly do. And around Canada, I think it's going to be quite close, considering how quick their lap times are around there. I think it's going to be quite a close qualifying in terms of that. So I'm looking forward to it. I think the race, though, please, I need Larkin's Rain Dancing playlist playing on full volume right now.
I think everyone is, to be honest.
Yeah, I need him doing his rain dance. I need him. Just anything to influence it.
Yeah. So I think, of course, dry qualifying. Will it be a dry race or will it be a wet race? So for the wet affected combos that we have left, we got wet to overcast to wet, very wet to clear, light cloud to overcast to wet, clear to light cloud to very wet. So we got 4 wet options left. Let's get going. I'm going to close my eyes for this one. And it's going to be... I get my wish. It's a dry race. Suckers! Sorry. Overcast to clear to overcast. And I think Casper was hoping if it was a dry race, it will be overcast at some point, because the sun is an absolute nightmare. So this is probably the best outcome for Canada, because at least they don't get glare from the sun. So for Canada, it's dry all round. I'm probably relieved. There's some people in the chat that's probably gutted about that one, but dry pace, we get to see who's good in the dry and who's not.
Yeah, I mean, a few people were quite happy that it's quite dry. I mean, Chris is saying he's not going to slip you to £10 anymore. So that's not going to happen. Yeah, a few people not particularly too happy about it, but most people are quite happy with the fact that it's going to be a dry race. Again, makes it quite interesting for the commentators if it's raining or dry race. I mean, P2 tier from last week, I hope they're going to provide something very similar to what they did last week for this week as well, for me and Jamie. I'm sure you're hoping the same with yourself and Mike. So
yes,
yeah, I think it's going to be, despite it being dry, Canada always does perform some very good racing. So I'm looking forward to it this evening.
I'm looking forward to it as well in the commentary box, and I'm looking forward to racing on it as well. So I'm going to do my pre-race interviews in a minute, knowing that I have a bit of more confidence now. So before we go, let's run through our sponsors. Of course, we've got Next Level Racing that are providing a few of our prizes this season. We've got Pure Sim Gear that's providing gloves or socks to the combined fastest laps and pole winner. And then you can also get a discount by using the code OHR10P. Sim Racing Setup shout-outs, we briefly touched about them, and you can use the code OneHubRacing at checkout. Our partners, Vespertine, are supporting our merch. Of course, Salo is owning that, and they helped us with the payments for this season. And finally, to our partners at SimGrid. Without SimGrid, we would have had loads of forms to fill in and spreadsheets, and we wouldn't want that. So those are our sponsors. Jaco, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I suppose let's go racing in Canada. A bone dry race. See who comes out on top, I suppose.
Yes, indeed. So P3, we will see you at 4:30 with Colin and Quinn in the commentary box. P2 tier, we will see you at 6 o'clock with Jaco and Jamie in the commentary box. And P1, you will see us at 7:30 with myself and Mike in the commentary box. What's left for us to do is to have some lunch and practice. Practice will be at 2 o'clock as usual. For myself and Jaco, thanks for listening, and we'll see you for the first stream at 4:30 with Colin and Quinn. Bye-bye.